the biggest money fighting groups like HSUS and the other animal advocates is not coming from the puppy millers because they don't have that much money. It's coming from big agribusiness, the Farm Bureau. And then you'll see some come from the American Kennel Club as well.
This bill proposed better cruelty law enforcement only for pets and specifically excluded animals used for food. Yet the Arizona Cattlemen's Association, the United Dairymen, and the Farm Bureau all opposed the legislation.
They don't want any progress to be made for animals because they fear that that will mean there will also be progress for the animals that they're raising in miserable conditions.
The NAIA, an industry activist group that operates under the guise of animal welfare, defends some of the worst forms of animal exploitation, such as extreme crating of animals, and they oppose this puppy mill bill on the basis it would give rescue organizations sole access to the market.
So the NAIA promotes this idea that animal shelters endanger the public safety. So what's the agenda behind that? Are they really that beholden to the AKC?
No, I think they have a viewpoint that they believe in, and they try to build their case.
On PJAC and the National Animal Interest Alliance, these are lobbying groups for industry, groups that ostensibly are pet industry support groups opposing legislation that would protect pets. Is there something wrong with that picture?
I mean, one thing about social life is it is contradictory. We can't reconcile many things, and usually what people will do is they'll reconcile it in their own self-interest.
So we attempt to navigate our compassion toward other animals the way a politician gerrymanders a voting district to exclude those who do not advance his interests. So we mostly include cats and dogs within the confines of our compassion. Rabbits and hamsters remain disposable novelties, exotic birds but not chickens, songbirds in the wild but not pigeons, who have little to offer us, certainly dogs but not all breeds.
It's real interesting. There are prestige mixed breeds, and then there are mixed breeds that we don't seem to care if they get slaughtered by the thousands, which is pretty hypocritical because you have to ask what makes one mixed breed, better than another.
We care about cats but rarely stray cats that we consider a nuisance.
It's less likely that people are going to be dog haters, but it's acceptable to be a cat hater.
Animals used in laboratories are mostly ignored regardless of species because we think that using them might benefit us.
Using animals in research, medical research, I think this is a good example that shows people's bargaining with animals.
We care less for breeding dogs on dog farms who provide millions of puppies for consumers, some dolphins and whales, except those confined to aquariums or those killed in fishing nets used to catch cheap seafood, elephants and lions, but not those that amuse us, or those who provide trophies for big game hunters. But we rarely include animals used for food or fiber in our circle of compassion, who account for over 95% of all animals, because we only consider their economic value, not their moral value.
And we can treat animals differently without even realizing we're doing it because we can just say, I love cats and dogs.
The farming communities and what they do and how they do it, to have it not spill over or translate into animals or our pets, I get it. I get why it happens.
But right now we've become so sensitized to mass killing that it's sort of built up a shield that takes away our compassion. And that's a tragedy for society.
Animals are property. And I know that California is kind of moving in a different way, and maybe other states too that I don't know about, but in Florida, animals are like a car or a pair of shoes. It's property.
So while we may want to separate animals based on personal preference, this requires that the law allow all forms of animal exploitation. And while that exploitation is applied unevenly, it's the system that protects everything from puppy mills to factory farms.
And until we look more broadly at these interconnected issues, I don't think we're going to really get to the root of what's going on, which is that we don't value animals' lives.